Well, hello everyone, and welcome into JW World News tonight. We have got a special program tonight. We have been talking a lot lately about the sex abuse in the Watchtower. Well, tonight we have a woman coming on, and she's out of California, and she's a former Jehovah's Witness, and her name is Star, and you'll be meeting her very, very shortly. And she's going to be talking about her child sex abuse in the Watchtower when she was a younger woman. So, anyway, she's coming on shortly. We've got Travis Walker. He's coming on. He's an attorney out of Florida. He specializes with child molestation, sex abuse. He'll be coming on at 9, and you can ask him questions. If you're a witness and you've been molested, you have a friend that's a witness molested, you can ask him questions tonight in real time. He'll be glad to answer them. But anyways, before we bring Star on, I just got a couple of announcements I want to make. Friends, the content of tonight's program will be very mature. It's for an adult audience. So if you do have some younger ones around, you might want them to kind of not listen to the program tonight because it could be very disturbing. So I just want to let you be aware of that. And also, I want to talk about what's coming up this summer, the convention we have up here in Boston. We've been talking about the Still Alive in 2025 convention. That is an ex-Jehovah's Witness convention, the first of its kind ever. We are expecting 300 to 500 people. We already have 300 lined up, so we're looking forward to that. But we could go up as high as 500 people coming to the convention. The tickets are free. Write me for the tickets at jwworldnews@gmail.com, and we'll be glad to get you the tickets out. And it's up here in Boston. In fact, plan on spending a week up if you can. The convention is a 3-day convention. It's Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, August 1st, 2nd, and 3rd. So we're looking so forward to it. Many people are going to come up here and make it their vacation. There's a lot to do up in Boston. We got the mountains, we got the ocean, we got a lot of things. We got a lot of history here as well. So if you can make it here, it'll be well worth the trip. And friends, I want to make this really a great convention. I believe we will do that. We have a number of great people that will be coming, giving talks and speeches. We have Fritz Springmeier. He wrote the book, The Bloodlines of the Illuminati. He'll be here with us. We also have Barbara Anderson. She'll be here in person. We have a number of elders that are going to be with us as well. And if you have an extreme story, if you've been really touched by the tentacles of the Watchtower, and you'd like to tell your story, write me at jwworldnews@gmail.com, and we'll get you on the platform. And we are going to be hearing things that are going to be unbelievable, how many lives have really been destroyed by the Watchtower. And all of us coming together will create a camaraderie. We'll create a great feeling. Won't it be great to be like with people of like mind? Won't it be nice to be able to talk with people that share the same experiences that we experience? So we're looking forward to that. Forgive me for my hoarse throat here tonight. The allergies. I always get I'm allergic, I guess, to the pine pollen or whatever it is. So I'm having a hard time even talking, but I can get through it. So I'll just stay with me and bear with me. Thank you. Okay. So we got the convention. Oh, I wanted to mention too, the convention, they're coming. There's a film crew coming from Spain. It's an international story on ex-Jehovah's Witnesses that they'll be filming at the convention. The film producers and directors got a hold of me this week, and they are booking rooms at the Hilton where the convention is going to be. And they're really making this a big time film, from what I can understand. It's going to be in a number of different languages. And what they're looking for is anyone that would really like to be interviewed by them. They're really, what their movie film is focusing on is the world of the ex-Jehovah's Witness. Why did they leave? What did they see wrong with the Watchtower? Why are so many people leaving right now? So they picked up on this fact that many people are leaving the Watchtower as we speak, and they want to be part of this convention and do some interviews for this film. So if you would like to be interviewed by the film crew, let me know at jwworldnews at gmail.com, and we will get you to be interviewed. And you'll be on, you'll go on a number of platforms. It's going to be a really extensive motion picture, from what I understand, video. In fact, I do know it's going to be played in a number of different languages. I talked to the English producer, but he mentioned that evidently they have other languages it's going to be in as well. And he's coming also with two former Jehovah's Witnesses from Spain. And one of them is a big time comedian in Spain. And she wants to come. And on Saturday night, we're going to have our YouTube Awards night and our book awards night on Saturday night at the convention. And the sister coming from the ex Jehovah's Witness sister, we call her, coming from Spain, she wants to do a comedy routine because we're going to have a talent show as well on Saturday night. We are going to have such a great time. I want it to be that people are not wanting to go home. They're going to want to stay. Rick, we want to have more of this. And who knows, this might be the start of something really big. So, okay, I just wanted to bring that up. I don't think I have much more to say about all of that, but I do have our guest who's going to be coming on with us, and she's talking about sex trafficking in the Watchtower. Now, this isn't the first time we really heard of this, folks, but let me bring our guest on right now. Let's bring Star on. Hello, Star.
Hi, how's it going?
I'm going good, Star. I want to thank you very much for wanting to come on tonight. It's a very controversial topic. Now,
It is.
I'm sure you explained it to a lot of people. Have you gone public with this before on a platform like this?
Not like this, no.
Well, I'm
So
glad you had the courage to come on.
it's important because it's not really about my story. It's about saving the children that are in the organization right now. So
All right.
that's why I'm here right now, is by exposing and telling a little bit of what happened to me as a child, I can actually hopefully ignite people and they're listening and that are ex-Jehovah's Witnesses that have been hurt in the same manner as children to, reach out and tell their stories. Because that's the only way this is going to, change.
Well, I know you're a friend of Stephanie,
Yes.
and she's coming to the convention. I believe you are too, and
So,
we'll probably hear a lot more of what you have to say there because we're really starting to come to grips with how evil the Watchtower is when it comes to sexual perversion. And tonight, after we talk with you around 9 o'clock, we do have an attorney coming on. His name is Travis Walker, and he's going to be talking about it as well and trying to help some people. So, what I'm going to do, Star, I'm going to let you kind of proceed forward,
okay.
and I'll kind of just let you talk, and I might come in with some questions. And then, if you don't mind, we'll even have the audience. Could they ask you some questions as well?
Perfect. Okay.
Okay, so you go ahead. I'm here, and don't you worry. I'll step in from time to time, but go
Okay.
ahead and let the audience know why you're coming on here tonight.
Okay. Well, first of all, my name is Star Paul, and I'm here to really express the magnitude of the child sex abuse inside the Jehovah's Witnesses. My story begins. I'm fourth generation Jehovah's Witness. My grandfather was head of Southern California. He was an overseer from the 60s, early 60s to 70s, until my mom got pregnant with me, and of course shamed the entire family. She got disfellowshipped. She had to sit in the back of the hall, of course, for 6 months as she was growing me. My family, unbeknownst to me, I was just an innocent child. They were not happy with me being alive and being in the family. My aunt beat up my mother when, I was in her womb at 6 months. So that just set up a life of struggle and suffering inside the organization as a child. I was beat continually, like through my stepdad. The time that I was trafficked, I've been trafficked 2 times. I'm going to just talk about one. So it was a friend of my mother's, who was a sister from another congregation, who came and picked me up for the weekend. I was 6. I wasn't even 7 yet. I was going to be 7 in like a month. I didn't really want to go. I didn't understand why I was going, because this woman had 2 boys and I'm just a little girl. So I went because I was told what to do, and I did it. As a Jehovah's Witness child, you're very obedient. And I did. And I was drugged on the way to where we were going. And then to the hotel room, I was, how can I say, taken advantage of, and for a couple of days, and filmed. And I didn't remember any of this until I was about 33. And when I did remember, I actually called my mother, and the only thing she said to me was, "Sounds like you need a therapist," and hung up. The family that I came from inside the Jehovah's Witnesses was so sick and twisted. There was just constant physical, mental, spiritual abuse. It just was a lot. Unfortunately, when I was 38, I had a full stroke, and I do believe that it was a blessing from God in a sense, because it made me realize I had a voice, because I had to learn to get my voice back. I had to work for a couple of years to talk again. And in that time, I just kept thinking, once I'm able to talk, I'm going to go to the police, and I'm going to tell my story, and I'm going to fight for the children that are inside the Jehovah's Witnesses right now, because I know the trafficking is real inside the organization, and it is devastating. And the more we talk about it, the more the light is going to shine on the darkness. So I guess that's a lot right there. So anybody, are you there?
Well, right here.
Well, I'm just like, it's hard at not having anything back.
It's very, very hard. I'll stay in here with you, Star, and I'm right here. So I'm right here watching you. And I know it's very difficult. It's very, very hard to talk about this.
I don't want to talk about, I understand, trafficking is this thing everybody's talking about right now, but I've been dealing with it for a long time and not wanting to really express, when I remembered, I didn't want to talk about it. But then after I had my stroke, I was like, I better talk about it before I die. I don't want to die with this dark secret of what they did to me. And it's so important that you wonderful people that are out there, that are ex-Jehovah's Witnesses, that you were hurt. If you were hurt inside this organization, sexually, physically, whatever, however you were hurt, please reach out and tell your stories, because you matter. Your voice matters, because I feel like the organization is counting on us to not talk, because it's gone on for so long. So, yeah.
Well, just relax. In fact, we certainly appreciate. It's a tough thing to do, what you're doing here tonight, Star. But just to kind of reiterate some of the things that you were saying here, a lot of people probably listening in, they say, "Oh, Rick, that really doesn't happen." And I'm sure you, as you were going through some of this difficulty in your life, you probably had a lot of people even question you on this. And One thing that we've always done here at the Six Screens is everybody has a voice. And for 20 years, we've been doing this program. And we've had some real shocking stories that have come on and across this network. And a lot of people, they did not believe it. But, if you came on, say, 10 years ago, it'd be very hard to get your message out there. But now you have a listening ear. There's a lot of people, Star, that totally believe what you're saying. They believe there is trafficking and all kinds of sexual perversion in the Watchtower. It's pretty clear to see. But, 10, 12 years ago, it still was an up in the air issue. A lot of people didn't believe it. But now it's all over the internet. Television documentaries have been written about it. So what you're saying here tonight, people are listening in, and maybe they, for the first time are hearing about trafficking. As a matter of fact, even that term wasn't really used much, but as of late, because of some of the problems that the United States was facing on the border, there was a lot of people being trafficked down there sexually. So the term kind of came to light. So a lot of people are aware of it. Now, do you think, hold on one second, Constance, did you want to say something? We have you unmuted here.
Yeah, Rick, that's me and Connie. I just want to tell a sister, you've got a big heart and you've got a lot of courage. And just a quick little story, a friend of mine, Mark Palo, 15, 20 years ago, maybe longer than that, told me he was raped by a governing body member. And I just kind of laughed at him. And now I absolutely believe it. Yeah. Time has shown this Watchtower to be disgusting. Time has shown that this Watchtower is being very perverted. Yeah. Time has shown that the Watchtower lies all the time. And the father of the lie is Satan the devil. And the father of perversion is Satan the devil. So I firmly believe everything you say. And now, 2025, you can bet everybody that's listening is feeling your pain and they believe you. So thank you for coming on. God bless.
Thank you.
Yes, in fact, do you think, Star, that this problem of sex trafficking in the Watchtower is bigger than we all realize, or do you think it's just a few isolated cases?
I think it's definitely bigger than we realize. Yes. I personally know 3 other survivors that have gone through that as children that are ex-Jehovah's Witnesses.
And, people, as I was saying earlier, now that we know that the Watchtower has been really summoned to court on various cases of sex child abuse, that, this is something that is quite known. The world is starting to realize how perverted the Jehovah's Witness organization is. Even just recently, a case in New York where there was child abuse with a young witness. As this person grew older, now they're taking the Watchtower to court because the window was still open to charge them. And in that court summons, they're actually summoning the governing body to come into court. So this is not, friends, this is, if we had Star on 10, 15 years ago, there would be some issues. Right. But I think all the people today listening to this program, I think they'll agree with you, Star. So to tell us more about what we can do, what can we do as listeners to really stop this going on, not only in the Watchtower, but in other places as well?
Well, I was building a website, and my website is holding, documentation that you can actually fill out and mail to me, and I'll give it to the investigators that are actually looking into all of these cases of child sex abuse inside the organization.
Yeah, well, that's one thing we can all do. We can expose them even here tonight. But what I what I would really ask at this time, and I asked another woman, she didn't come on the program, but I talked to her privately. But when this was happening to you, and you were being trafficked, as they would call it, did your parents know about it? Were they aware this was happening to you?
I'm pretty sure my parents knew about it.
So, because even the other person that I talked to about it, they said that their parents were fully aware of it. As a matter of fact, they brought her. I won't give her name here. She might come on and talk about herself, but she said they brought her to a special place. It was an island
Yeah.
where they took advantage of her, and so you have heard of that as well.
Yeah, of course. I've heard all kinds of horrendous stories as an exposed witness. It's horrible, unbelievable. That's why I'm doing this. And, it's not something I want to do at a Saturday night is talk about, things that have happened to me that is in the past. I really want to look forward and look at actually just exposing everybody come together and tell and not be scared. Just don't be scared. That's how I feel. It's like we've got to do this to actually make a change in our society and tell the truth of this organization and what they've been doing. I was molested for years by my stepfather, and I finally told at 14 and, went and did the whole 3 elders and the committee meeting. And what came out of that was absolutely nothing because I didn't have a second witness. I had my mother. My mother had caught him doing things to me, but it wasn't enough. And so it was hearsay. He didn't get his fellowship. Nothing happened to him. And up until the time I was 14, I was completely faithful to Jehovah, praying all the time. He was my best friend. And so when that happened, my stepdad came over and whispered in my ear and said, even Jehovah knows what I did to you was not that big deal, not that big of a deal. And that was the last time I prayed to God until recently, which was June, was it 2022. I started praying to God and it's changed my life. So I'm very thankful that I am able to be here and I'm alive after having a stroke and having to, learn to walk and talk again. That's been, as a human to realize that you could actually get hurt so bad that you'll never walk again the same and your language will be a little different. And so I've, that's why I'm fighting so hard for all of this, because I could have easily died and my story would have been vapor, just gone. And so, yeah, that's.
So I'm just wondering, do you think that what happened to you, the shocking events in your younger years, do you think that precipitated the stroke? Do you think that brought it on?
Yeah, 100%. 100%. I remember being in the rehab and I still hadn't talked not a sound. I couldn't utter a sound. And I remember laying there in bed thinking, okay, I am not being starved. People are feeding me. No one's tied me up. But for some reason, I've done the exact same thing to myself. When I was drugged, I was able, I couldn't talk and my body was, they just moved me around. And when I was in that moment, it really hit me that I know that I must talk about it because obviously I'm experiencing losing my voice and my body. And it made me actually fight harder to get all of that so I could do what I'm doing now. Made me fight so hard. So.
Well, you're a real trooper star. Now, what I'm thinking of, this thing's going through my head. There are not all elders totally bad. There are some good ones that I knew. Now, when you were going through your difficulties with the sex abuse, were there any elders in your congregation that showed any sympathy at all?
Not at all. Not at all.
Not one.
Not one. No.
And they more or less were saying, I'm sure the old standard saying, leave it in Jehovah's hands.
Yes. Yes.
That's the standard situation.
And it's all hearsay. So my story was hearsay. My stepdad, even though my mom was there saying, yes, he did, I caught him. So, yeah, it's interesting coming out of all of that as a person, it's just a lot.
Well, what's of interest here is you're brave enough, and what that will do is bring others forth as well that will come and talk about it, because if it isn't brought to light, then people really will never be aware of how much this is going on.
This organization is, and they should be ran out of the parks, ran out of the wherever they are. The Jehovah's Witnesses should not be out there in public trying to bring people in. They're very sick. Their culture of raising children is dysfunctional and sick, and it needs to be stopped. It needs to be stopped. And as adults, everybody, if you've gone through abuse inside this organization, you have a voice to actually stand up and do something. And the more of us that can come together and have a huge voice, no one's going to stop us.
Well, that's the attitude to have right there. Absolutely. I do believe we have someone. Dan, did you want to say hello to Star?
Yeah, actually, it was Angela. But I wanted to just remind everyone that I think it was maybe 3 years ago or so that we had a gal on. It was kind of early back in the day when people didn't believe these stories, but she told a crazy story of this guy that was stalking her, who was like an elder. Yeah, he was an elder, and but he really wanted her to be with him, and she didn't go for it. And so he did all kinds of horrible things to her, including planning out drugging her by going to an elderly woman in the church, in the organization's home. She fed her a meal. She got the drug, and then the lady, told her, get on home. And then by the time she got home, she was paralyzed. And then she woke up with him on top of her, but they had stuck a broomstick in her vagina and did all kinds of horrible damage to her body that she could hardly walk. And the hospital, I guess they're in on it too. And so they wouldn't hardly do anything. I don't think they did anything. They just let her suffer. It was the most unbelievable, crazy story. But these people have people everywhere. And that's the story she told. And it was just, it went on and on and on about how he flooded her house. He stalked her for years and years that she'd move. He'd find her. It was just crazy bad stuff, but ruined her insides real bad permanently. And my heart went out in such a big way. I absolutely believed her story. And now we're hearing another one very in the same realm. And I'm like, what, these guys are, boy, I'll tell you what. I mean, Rick, it always shocks me when we have these guys come on and interrupt the show, and this vile, demonic stuff comes out of them that you don't even hear in the regular world coming from Bethel. And I'm like, my God. And we've been hearing this for 5 years now? That, as far as I remember, hearing these guys from Bethel come on and just speak this vulgar, horrible stuff about women and their parts. And I never heard such filth in all my life. And so when I hear that again and again and again, I do have to believe these stories. So I just wanted to say that. And thank you so much for sharing your story, ma'am. I really appreciate it.
Thank you for listening.
Oh, Star. Thank you, Star. Thank you.
Yeah, I'm back to what it is I'm listening to all of this, and I lived in Florida for a short while, 10 years actually, and there was an elder down there, and there's a woman in his congregation, and I would talk to the woman, and she told me that she was molested when she was a young child in the Watchtower. And then I said, well, what does my friend who was an elder in that congregation, what does he say? He says, well, it's repressed memory. Do you hear that a lot too, Star?
No, no, it's real memories. I mean, it's oppressed. I mean, it's a lot. I've blocked it out, but I mean, yeah, I don't know about that.
Well, that's what I mean. I didn't believe it. I believe she was molested, and
Yes,
I believe you. But that's
they've been hurt in that area. It's real, you know.
Yeah,
I tried telling when I was 7. I tried again at 10. I tried at 14. You know, I ended up going to the police at 14 because the elders didn't care. You know, so
well, that's one of the excuses that they will give if a young, well, most like a young person doesn't go, but they gain a few years in life and they come back and say, hey, look at this happened. Then the elders will pull that, well, repressed memory. You know, we think you're making this up. And that's going to be so hurtful that is going to really hurt for elders to pull that game. We do have Michael. Why don't you come on, say hello to Star? Come on around, Michael.
Hello, Star. I'm so sorry that you had to go through all this, and I truly believe it because I am in, I call it the sex perversion capital, the trafficking capital of the world right now, and was with Les Wexner and the Victoria's Secrets, and Epstein. So I believe everything you're saying. I know I'm privy to a lot of information about that, but I'm interested in about your mother. Is your mother still alive?
yes.
Okay, and how's your relationship with her at this time?
Not good. I don't talk to her. Yeah.
And then your stepfather, is he still alive?
Yes, he is. And he is active Jehovah's Witness in my community.
Wow,
I see him all the time.
that's something.
Yeah, it's pretty wild to be like taking a jog and you run up on your abuser. You're trying to, you know, be in nature, and there he is. There's the Jehovah's Witnesses.
Yeah, and probably looks upstanding and is
Completely.
standing witness and everything, and that's get sick. I go by a hospital every day, and it has Wexner's name on it, and I actually get sick to my stomach every time I pass it. So I know what you're talking about. I'm so sorry that you have to go through that. So, and then another couple of other questions, if you don't mind me asking, okay? Because I'm curious. How's your relationship with? I heard you say you started to pray again. How's your relationship with God? Has it strengthened? Has it gotten weak? Or have you turned away?
I go to church every Sunday and I pray every day, and I'm very much like in love with God. So happy in Jesus. The whole thing. It's a beautiful. Yeah, I'm learning. You know, it's been a long time to. I walked away from the Jehovah's Witnesses when I was 21, so I'm 48 now. So
Yeah.
You know, it took me a while to find God.
And I want to tell you, I completely, I say the same thing you do. I completely understand. I grew up Jehovah's Witness, and I turned away, and I didn't even want anything to do with God. I actually told my children never to go to church or anything. So, but through a strange event, and I've shared this on the show, that I was able to accept Jesus Christ in my life and understand a true Jesus, to understand a true Jesus and his amazing grace. And I'll be praying for you. I think you're a very strong person. I want you to keep it up as much as you can. I know. You know, I talked about remember Jackie Robinson? He was a baseball player.
Yeah.
His wife told me, you know, he said he died of disease, sugar diabetes or something, but his wife said Jackie died of a broken heart. She said that Jackie went through all the stuff that he went through, and he kept it inside of him all the time. He kept all that anger and everything inside. She said he died of a broken heart. Jackie went through all.
Important to get it out.
Yeah. So, well, hang in there.
Yeah, of course.
I'll pray for you. And thanks for talking with me. I appreciate it.
Yeah, of course. Thank you.
Well, Star, in fact, I agree with Michael there. It's nice that you at least have been able to connect with God. What happens in so many cases, people get so disgusted with the Watchtower, it ruins their spirituality, and they don't want anything to do with God at all. But I'm glad that at least you're heading in that direction, and do
Definitely
believe.
heading in that direction. Yeah,
Thank you.
there.
We've got 717. You're on with us, 717. What do you have to say?
Hi, Star. I just wanted to greet ya.
Okay, hi. Nice to meet you.
My heart goes out to you, and I'm sorry about what you had to experience in your life.
Yeah, it made me, who I am, and I'm able to do this now. So,
And I'm happy you refound your relationship with God and Jesus Christ.
yeah, thank you.
And I'm trying to. When I woke up, I eventually started visiting different churches to myself.
It's good.
And I want to tell you that rule about that you couldn't have nothing done about your situation. They follow that certain rule.
Yeah, the two witness rule.
It's because that's a Zionist organization that's pro-Israel. It's operated by the Rothschilds, and by the Rothschilds, it's a Khazarian organization is what it is.
Okay.
Well, don't go too deep on us, Dallas. Okay, let's listen to Susan. Susan, what do you have to say?
Go ahead.
Hi, Star. I am so grateful to you revealing what happened to you and that you're leading the way for others to speak up too. My question is, I'm sure you've heard of others that have also been going through what you have. Have you heard of any circuit overseers or governing body members or vessel lights or anyone that are following this terrible course of conduct?
Just my family. I mean, I don't know of any other, like, in that level other than, my grandfather, who was an overseer.
Yeah, he was a big name in Southern California, was he not?
Yes. Yes, he was.
Yeah. So that must have really hurt too, because with his influence, nothing was probably going to be done, even though you spoke truth.
Yes, it was that. And I was born in a way where I didn't matter to anybody in my family. So I was like, just completely abused by everyone, and that's what I thought love was. And
that is so shocking to me that they would treat you in such a way.
Well, it's black and white. It's black and white. And that's how the organization is. It wasn't my fault that I was born to a 20-year-old unwed, woman in a cult, but I was, and where my grandfather was, it made it hard for me to be loved because I had so much on me that I didn't even know. I didn't know I was, I thought my stepdad was my real dad for forever. And then I found out the truth, and then it made sense why everybody treated me the way they did, because I was the bastard child. I ruined the family's name, as my grandfather couldn't be what he wanted to be, the overseer. And yeah, it's pretty ridiculous, the whole thing.
When you were in school, did you speak up to your teachers, or was there anyone you could confide in, a friend?
When I was 7, I went and they had the CPS come in, and my stepdad was able to laugh and joke and got the guy saying, I won't tickle her in those places anymore. She's grown up. And it continued, So each time I tried to speak up, and nothing happened. So I feel like I have to keep speaking up. What?
Have you ever approached a lawyer or anyone to get kind of justice for yourself?
I'm doing some stuff right now, so we'll see what's going on. This is all very new.
Yeah. Well, I wish you success in those endeavors. And boy, I'd like to hear again on the 6 screens or even at the conference this summer how you're doing and what's going on. I'm so sorry but I think we as a group here at the 6 screens would like to support you in any way we can.
Thank you. It's very kind.
Well, thank you, Susan. In fact, Patel, you got me thinking here tonight because you're so brave, and you reason why you're really coming on. I mean, you didn't have to really come on and tell things. You could just say, "That's it, forget about it, move on." But I believe your main purpose here is to make people aware of it, so that they understand that this is a real thing. This is
It's a real
going
problem. It's a problem right now.
Yeah.
Right now. Across the world in this organization hurting children now. And it makes me so angry that it's still happening and it shouldn't be. And I'm sure, God's very unhappy with this, hurting his children.
2270, you're on with us. 270, come on. Area code 270, you're on with us. Unmute yourself, hit *6. All right, you're all set. Go ahead.
Good evening. I just wanted to tell the young lady that you are a brave soul. It's not easy to hold your head up high, but you're doing it very clearly. So that man, when you see and he sees you, you keep that head up. Keep it up. I had to do it my whole life. I had to do the same thing, but you know what? When my family made me the black sheep, when they kicked me aside, didn't even let me be present, when they laid my grandparents to rest, not a one came when my daughter was killed in a car accident. None of that. You know what? I held my head up. When my niece came to me, because the police called me because I was the only living relative that was stable enough to have a phone. That man had fallen. Vicky was my mother. She had died 2004. I was the only other person, and I was only the stepdaughter.
Wow.
I was the only one they could contact and say this man had took a fall and was completely brain dead.
Sister, we had a little hard time. Sister, this is Rick Brown with the 6 screens. Could you come a little closer to your phone? We're having a hard time getting everything you're saying. Just to reiterate, will you come closer to your phone? Were you molested as a young girl? Is that what you're saying?
Yes, I was.
All right.
I heard Rick talk tonight, Constance and Rick talking about schizophrenic. My baby sister is a diagnosed schizophrenic. The other siblings have all been drug addicts. Now my baby brother just died at the beginning of this past year in March. He's been gone a year. But the whole thing is they all were here in my town, every one of them. And you have to, this young lady right here, you got on this show tonight, it's touching my heart deeply. Look how strong she looks. I'm going to take her one minute. My niece came. We tracked her mama down. And we found her mama, but her mom was so high on drugs that she was like, no, I can't do this. My sister has to do it. Drive me right over to see to this man. who was brain dead who molested me as a child. They came, they asked, will you donate his organs? Y'all know what I did? I called brother. And I asked the brother, should I do this? I was told my conscience, whatever. Wasn't even asked how I was, nonetheless.
Wow.
This man died a year after my daughter was killed. But anyway, I said to that man, for 3 days he laid in a room, alcohol seeping from his pores as he's completely brain dead. I seen to it that man had a funeral and done the way his sisters wanted it done.
Wow.
They tried to make me pay for it, $8,000 some dollars. That didn't happen. That did not happen. Anyways, I did what I had to do. You know what, honey? I found out at the beginning of this year, every single relative, including him, including the uncle that was my birth mother's brother who raped me, all were dead. Every single one of them are dead.
Good riddance. Good riddance.
You know what a relief? But at the same time, what a sadness.
Yeah. So you didn't get to say your story.
Great. You keep that head. You keep that head high.
Thank you.
Deserving. They don't. And they're going to be gone. They're going to be gone in your time.
Yes. Yeah, definitely.
Oh, when that happens, wait, girl. Wait on your fingers.
I've thought about it.
Stay strong. Stay strong. Continue believing in Jesus Christ and
Yes.
sharing your story.
Thank
Bless
you.
everybody. That's all I have to say.
Well, thank you, sister. All right, let's go to looks like 207. 207, you're on with us. Go ahead. $207, you want to come on? Go ahead. You're on 207. Go ahead. If not, we're going to go 714. 714, you're on with us.
Hello.
Go ahead.
Hi. I'm calling on behalf of my friend Star. For many years.
Oh, my darling. I love you.
I want to say I love her so much. And she's one of the bravest, strongest women I know.
I don't know. You are. You are.
And we grew up in the same community. We both have suffered through things in the cult.
Yes.
And she is just one of the strongest women I know. And she has made me a stronger person. I'm sorry, I'm trying not to cry.
I love you so much.
So, I love you too. And I'm proud of you.
Thank you. I'm proud of you.
We share a lot of very similar stories. And she
Yes,
knows my
ma'am.
life history. I know her life history because I've known her since I was like 9 or 10 years old.
Yeah.
We did lose contact for a few years and then we reconnected. And it's been one of the best things.
Oh.
So I love you.
I love you too.
You
Thank
can believe Star, and I'm sorry for all the stuff that she's had to go through, and she has heard me go through my things in my life growing up as a Jehovah's Witness. And we share the same family, kind of, but she is my sister, and I love her. And I'm very, very, very proud of her. And that's all I have to say.
I love you. Thank
All right,
you.
I love you.
Well, thank you, caller. I'll tell you what, she's a wonderful, brave lady, and I'm so glad you could come on tonight and speak with her. That was awful nice of you to do that. Well, you're on 6. Yes, in fact, I'll tell you what, the audience loves Star. They really, really are getting a lot of comments on the.
You would love her too, especially if you met her in person.
Well, she's a she's a spunky person. She's got a really vibrant personality, that I do know, and that's a good thing. My goodness. And I was thinking, Star, as you were talking, as of late, there are more and more women coming forward, even young men that have been molested, coming forward and talking about it. This always wasn't the case. I'll be quite frank. I knew a woman, a very good friend of mine, and she was molested when she was a young girl, and she never wanted to talk about it. And I'd say it might be best to get it out because she was holding it in, and it really created a lot of issues in her life. And she
That's kind of what just happened to me. The Star has told me to come out and talk about it and release it.
Yep.
And I've been afraid to do that, but she's just great.
And what happens is if you hold it in, it really, I mean, I'm not a psychiatrist, I don't know, but I would think a psychiatrist would say to talk about it, get it out. It certainly is something, but this particular woman, she kind of put herself, that I knew, in the framework of it was kind of like her fault. But how can it be a fault when you're a young person like that? It's not your fault. And this should be brought out. Yes.
It's not our fault, but we feel that way because we're suppressed and we're not allowed to talk about it, especially with the 2-witness rule. And, especially when you're younger, you don't realize what's happening until you get older. And then you realize, like, this is not right. But then nobody will listen to you anyway. And then you're just pushed aside. And, people will question you. And, even my own mom and my family members question me. So then when people start questioning you, that means they're not believing you. And so you just shut down and hold it all in.
Well, that's why there's a lot of people. In fact, how many people, I have no idea. I really never really thought Satan kicked me out of the organization back in 2005. But I never would have thought there were so many child molesters in the organization. It never crossed my mind.
Yeah, it's ridiculous now because I was born into it. I'm like Star, like 4th generation. My dad was an elder. My grandfather was a circuit overseer, and I was a very prominent. I shouldn't say prominent, but I was a good witness girl. I was a pioneer, auxiliary pioneer. I did everything right, while behind the scenes there were things going on that you couldn't talk about.
Devastating.
So, sister, Star's friend here, did you? I'm sorry?
She's one of my best friends.
One of your best friends. Now, were you also molested when you were younger? Do you mind me asking?
Yes, sir.
Right. So this is something that's more widespread than we realize. And I'm so glad that you can come on even mention it. And I know there's measures being taken right now to really continue to expose this and hopefully bring an end to it all. I'm sure it'll always exist. But if people really know that the authorities and people are talking about it, it might slow it down a lot. That's what we can hope for,
Yeah, that's what we can hope for. Mine was with maybe 2 elders. They have both passed on, so there's no recourse for them because they're dead. But it's taking me, even calling in right now, I'm very nervous and actually talking about it.
So proud of you.
Star has put a little backbone in me to finally say something.
Woohoo!
Yeah.
Good. Yeah.
Well, it's got to be so hard. We had a man on earlier, and he talked about a man by the name of Mark Paulo. And Mark Paulo lives right up in the same area. I live here in Massachusetts. He's dead now. He's not alive. But when he was a young man, only 8 years old, he told the world 20 years ago that what happened to him at the headquarters of the world headquarters of Jehovah's Witnesses, 25 Columbia Heights, Brooklyn, New York. His mother and father were translators, Finnish translators for the Watchtower. And they would go there every week or every other day, really, and help with the translation for the Finnish Watchtower magazine. And while he was there, a governing body member, he claims Leo Greenlees, he was a governing body member, dragged him aside, brought him into a room and raped him. And I had Mark on the program a good 15 years ago. Nobody would believe him. Nobody would believe him. And
So sad.
recently now we bring it up and people now are saying, Mark was right. And that Leo Greenlees, he was removed from Bethel, sent up to Canada, and he was a known homosexual, a perverted man in some ways. Yep.
Yeah, I think it's hard for anybody, but maybe men especially, to come forward and say something happened to them. But I'm glad that the door has been open, even for witnesses or non-witnesses or people in general, that they're able to come out and talk about things and release it. Because it happens more than we think it does.
Yes.
Or now we know more. But
Yep. 100%.
anyway.
Well, we got a lot of people listening in here tonight, Star. A lot of people listening in. If you would like to say something to Star, she's here. She's willing to answer your questions. Go ahead and hit *6, and that will unmute you. Go ahead. You're on with us. 603. Come on.
Okay, thanks. Thanks, Star. I really appreciate your admonition to everybody. There are more options so you can speak out, because I imagine that term "speak out" is tough for a lot of people to have any idea of where do they actually speak out to, where it's going to be effective. And I think, you said you have a website for that.
Yes. Yeah.
Could you share that with us? Because
Yeah. worldorganizationwelfare.org.
One more time.
worldorganizationwelfare.org.
Okay, that's the one.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you. Check it out.
And then I had another question. I've heard a lot talk about trafficking, and I was curious how that works. Does that mean, if I picture somebody being put on a box trailer or a truck and smuggled over the line, the trafficking, and I wonder how
the trafficking happened. Yeah. So in my situation, I was taken to a hotel on a Friday night, drugged, tied up until Sunday, and filmed, and sexually assaulted and abused for hours, and starved and drugged again. So that's the trafficking part, is they filmed me and then sold the film. And it was
Wow, they got away with it too. I'm surprised that they can get away with that stuff. I'm sorry to hear that.
It was 83. It was right when VHS came out, and it happened, and it happens.
Yep.
All the time.
Okay, so that's trafficking. Thank you. And thank you for what you've done. I know it's terrible. I can't even imagine, and I just wish that you guys could somehow have an actual place to actually get something done. And then, if it seems so elusive, what it should be an easier way. Hopefully, the internet has made things easy. I know all these platforms have made it easy, but it's still, what can we do? And it's without getting a lawyer and spending all that money. So hopefully, we're
doing, we're just talking right now. We're doing it. We're
yes, I know. Just talking about it, really, if if people can get the guts to don't say it, but it'd be nice, the fact that you could get the information to the authorities, maybe they can get it to the right people, ask a few questions, maybe something will happen.
I did the authorities here locally. I did it because it happened to me local here, and nothing happened for 3 years. They had my case open, and it was pretty horrific experience. So, even when you go to the police, it's not easy.
Yeah.
But I didn't, I'm not going to stop.
Well, it sounds like people are actually getting on the bandwagon and realizing, and maybe this is going to just help everybody. So thank you. Have a great evening. I gotta
Thank you.
get on.
Thank you, Tom. Yeah, Star. In fact, some people write some. In fact, go ahead. Go to the next caller. You're on with us, 816. You're on with us. Go ahead.
Yeah. Hi, Sarah. I just wanted to say I'm super proud of you. And thank you for sharing your story. I recently, actually, I've been sharing my story because I was trafficked. I was sex trafficked underage in the organization, but it was homosexual. So it was a sister who was like an epic pioneer. And she was like a spiritual mother to me. And she raped me from about 16 to 25. And the way my trafficking happened is when we would go on these trips to go serve where the need was great in different states, we would be in hotels, and she would invite me to her hotel and rape me in the hotel while we were on mission trips. I did speak out about it, like you, and I was shut down. I was shut down for so many years. I was blacklisted in the organization in that area. And it's like they unofficially disfellowshipped me, right? So they couldn't get me to do anything bad willfully. But when I spoke out, they just made sure that none of the friends would talk to me. And so I lived a very lonely, isolated world. Then I thought, okay, I'm going to marry in the truth, marry this guy. He ends up raping my 3 kids, and they're under 5. So unlike myself, I fought for my kids. And even though the witnesses are actively supporting my ex-husband, even though he has a police report, my kids were diagnosed with CSA at the hospital, they're still actively protecting him. And so just seeing your story, it's giving me motivation to keep fighting and protecting my kids, because right now, my 3-year-old was so damaged by this last episode because I had to it was his parental time. And I can't send him to school anymore. I have to re-potty train him. He can't hold his bowels. My daughter can't go to school right now because of her injuries, so I'm at home taking care of them. The government had to move me from one state to another state for our safety from these people. So I believe everything they're saying. Keep up the good work. Keep strong. I'm going to join the reset for my children and for myself.
Yeah.
And it's really real. And there's no encouragement. Nobody's come over and asked me, how are you doing? These are people that were there when my children were born, when I was born. They've all been told not to talk to me. I am not removed, disfellowshipped, or an apostate at this time. Yeah. No one's talking to me. And it hurts me so bad because I'm literally, my 3-year-old comes to me and says, Mommy, can you help clean me up? My daughter tells me all the things my ex did to them, and I've done everything for the last 2 years to protect them. But I was unsuccessful because the organization was supporting my ex who molested them, and they know he did it. It's really messed up. So
it's unbelievable.
You're making all of us brave. And I'm out here fighting for my kids in the justice system. And it's going to be okay, because I feel like as long as you know your mom loves you and that God loves you, you're going to be all right.
It's true.
And that's what my kids have.
Yeah. Good.
So, keep up the good work. But that's all I wanted to say.
Yeah. I'd love to talk to you more. Like, reach out on the web line, yeah, we should talk more.
Absolutely. Just, Rick, if you see my number, if you could just pass that to her, that would be good.
Yeah, I would love
Yeah,
to.
I will do that. In fact, I've got your email, Star. I'll give you her number. I'll do that. You'll have it tomorrow. And Carla, I want to thank you very much, Carla, for coming on too.
They're actually going to be issuing summons against my ex-husband next week. And I can't have an attorney now because all of the witnesses, every attorney I've had, they've gone behind me and paid them off. So because of my legal background, I literally have to represent myself. Because anytime I get an attorney, they pay them off.
Unbelievable.
Well, we've got an attorney coming on here shortly.
Yes.
Out of Florida, and he's really making an effort to really help the Jehovah's Witnesses to be able to get the job done. So stay on the line if you can, caller, because he'll be coming on shortly. He is scheduled to come on in about 20 minutes, and he's going to take any questions. So we're looking forward to that. And thank you, caller. You're a brave woman. My goodness, my heart goes out for you too. It's not. I don't know how you can deal with that, but you're very strong, just like Star. Thank you for being the woman you are. Really, seriously.
Yes, I agree. Unbelievable.
Well, I'll tell you, Star. See what it does. The people come out, and this is a really good thing. What you're doing, what your friends are doing, talking about it. You got a website. Talking about this, it's gonna get the momentum moving. This has got to be stopped. And the Watchtower is getting away with murder, and they just brush it under the rug like nothing ever happened. And look at you, look at the shape they put you in the collar. The justice has to be done. Why don't you call in? Anyone want to call in? We get okay. It looks like I think Dan's back on with us, or Angela. Go ahead, you're on.
Hey there, Rick. Hey. Great show tonight. Man, we're just in shock. It's so sad to hear what's happened to these women in the organization. It makes you want to cry.
Yeah, it's hard, but we're here.
I'm glad they're speaking up. I'm glad they're all coming on now because, so many people, Rick, have tried to have a voice. And they've been shut down because nobody believed them. And these girls have said, kiss my fucking ass for what people think. And that's the attitude you got to have.
Yep, exactly.
Or it ain't going to get done.
Yeah.
It ain't going to get done. And so you can't be codependent. You can't be worrying. And you got to join together and shit will get done. Yeah. And I want to say this. A lot of the reason that this problem is happening in there is the sexual suppression. We used to talk about the Catholics. They couldn't marry, they couldn't do this. So there was all sorts of perversions. People weren't allowed to unfold sexual desire naturally. So it was suppressed. And when you have suppression, you get subversion. And so that's what's happened. So these men take it out on these innocent girls. And, all this sexual energy builds up. You're not allowed to play sports. You're not allowed to get it out anywhere. So what do? They go to the vulnerable. And so, thank God for these women that they have this kind of courage. It's only God that can give them this courage to come forward in the face. And years ago, this is like a new chapter. This is a new chapter because child trafficking, man, we've had a couple people, Rick, on the show, and people are like, yeah, I don't know. It's not that way anymore. We're like, man, tell us more. Everybody's ears are wide open. This is a new chapter, but it takes these frontier women to come forward. And look what's happened tonight. 2 other women came out and said this shit's happened to them. It's mind-boggling. But anyway, thank you, Star, for coming on.
Yes.
Thank you, other lady that came on and the other lady that came on. Oh, my God. I'm blown away. And I apologize for swearing. I swear when I get pissed off or I'm emotionally I just have to say it the way it is, Yeah. Angela wants to say something.
You know what's so crazy is that, again, probably, 3 years ago, Dan and I interviewed a woman. I think it was a woman. Yeah, I'm positive it was. That said that she had been drugged by, so her father and parents, elder, would kind of like sold her off so that every weekend she was shipped off to a hotel. They drug her ahead of time. And then one person after the other would rape her until the end of the weekend when she was just barely alive, and then back home to recover or during the week, and then she'd have to start over, same thing, forced, taken to a hotel, drugged, same thing all over again, weekend after weekend. I can't remember how many years it went on, but I thought, my God, how are you even still alive? And so, I think it's important because this is the same pattern. And witnesses, it's like a pattern. They start doing these things because it works. And it's sex trafficking grossness. And I'm so appalled by it, but it's got to be spoken. And so cool. Like back then, no one wanted to believe that story. It was so crazy. But now, again, like Dan said, people are believing it now. So it's important that the more we speak, that the better it is, because more and more people will have to believe it. And it starts to come out. So many people start speaking out that everyone starts to say, you know what? I've heard this so many times now. It's got to be true. It's snowballing, Dan just said. And I agree with that. It must continue to be spoken no matter what the consequence is. I know that seems horrible, but it will
it's true. That's true. You got to speak out.
Thank you. Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank
we
you.
appreciate it.
Thank you.
Well, Star, my goodness, lots of people listening into the program tonight and calling in. And, like Dan just said, he's shocked. And there are way more people, I think. I think we're just touching the tip of the iceberg here. I think it goes a lot deeper.
No.
It's bigger than we think.
It's so big. Thousands of abused people.
It needs to gain momentum. I'll tell you why. Because I know people that have been put away, and they're in halfway houses, in apartment buildings, and I've written them for years. And it's just sad because they're up against the police. Don't believe them. They call them prostitutes, and this don't believe them. They name call. They name call them, and then they shut down. And so, like tonight was a miracle. Yeah. They call them all kinds of names, and they label them, and then they shut down.
Yeah.
But I'm so glad. I mean, 3 women came tonight. That's a miracle. 3 women came on here. Oh my God! It's 4. It's like
That's
in a word.
It's pretty amazing.
This is going to be huge.
Yay! Good. It's
It's
our time.
Right? Nobody believed it. Nobody believed it when it came out. I had a guy pull out a box of tons of pedophilia. He even called me. He said, there's a pedophile coming to the memorial. He's had all these kids. He's still an elder. Stuff that you'd never believe years ago. You say, I can't go on the air with this on Rick's show. I can't go on Rick to talk about this. Even the lady, her name's Lisa. I don't know if you've heard of her. But I said, I don't know how I can bring her on the show. Everyone's going to go, this person, now it's like wide open. And so thank you again. I just want to say thank you again. I am in shock. I'm in tears because it's unbelievable. This shit goes on still. Anyway.
Yeah.
Well, what I was thinking too, Star, is the public is way more aware of this than they have been 10, 15 years ago. I mean, this Jeffrey Epstein, with that sex perversion deal he had on that island he was bringing these girls to, and I'm sure men too, and having sex and perversion and everything else. He brought a lot of light to this. And now the Watchtower, I don't know how they're going to be able to defend themselves. I really don't. This is all going to come out. And, the Watchtower organization, we've been talking about this on the news for the last couple of weeks. Whenever they go into court, and they got a really big court case coming up in New York where the governing body is actually being summoned, from what I understand, to go into court. And they'll probably, won't go and pay a fine and try to brush it off. But it's I don't know how they're going to be able to defend themselves. But one way they've done it in the past is the Watchtower would always say that whenever there was a case of child abuse in the congregation, well, we're not a hierarchical organization. In other words, that happened locally, and that didn't come down from us. But we know darn well that the Watchtower is protecting this and covering it up.
Oh, yes, they are.
Yeah,
of course.
That's for sure. Boy, I'll tell you, it's just fascinating that the stuff that's going on in there. And I'm so glad you came on and talked with us. I just want to see if Attorney Travis, are you on the line with us? Are you on the telephone line? If you are, hit *6. Attorney Travis out of Florida. He's due on here at 9:30, so maybe we'll see if he does come on, but he is scheduled to come on with us. But anyways, we have Star on here with us tonight. Star was terribly abused in the Watchtower sexually when she was a young girl, and she's willing to give her story here tonight. She's going to come up to the convention if all goes well this summer. I'm sure she'll share more thoughts with us. But you get a lot of people in tears tonight, Star. I don't know if you can see the YouTube comments at all.
No,
Probably,
not yet.
but a lot of people, hundreds of people writing in YouTube and on Facebook. And a lot of these people are in tears. They're in tears for a number of reasons. I would say number one, because they really are looking at you as a brave woman and saying, wow, for her to come on and say these things, that is going to help move this in a direction that will be very beneficial and help so many people. So that's a good thing. And also a lot of people are in tears tonight. A lot of people writing in on chat in the YouTube and Facebook. This may have happened to them. This may have happened to them.
Sure, of course.
And they're crying. They're really crying. A lot of them tonight. Maybe it's happening to them. If you're listening to Star tonight and you feel you have the courage to come on and talk to us, and get it off your chest. You don't have to go into total detail, but let us know that similar things have happened to you in the Watchtower. If that really is the case, you see the number right there. It's on YouTube. It's nice and plain. It's also on Facebook. So why don't you call in and say, Rick and Star, this is not something that's isolated. This is big time in the Watchtower. So go ahead. Why don't you hit *6 and come on? Or even if you haven't been molested, maybe you know people that have, and you want to talk about it a little bit. Why don't you come on and hit *6 and say hello to us? Well, anyway, Star, I have to tell you, give me a few minutes to do this. We do have this attorney, Travis. They contacted me. Do you know him?
I've talked to him. Yes, he's
he wants to get involved in this fight as well.
Yeah.
And I've contacted him, and he's going to be coming on here tonight. He did say, unless something did come up, but we do have him booked in for tonight. And I've talked to the people in his office, and he's looks like a fine young man, and he's doing a great job down there in Florida. And the thing is, a lot of attorneys don't touch this. They don't want to touch it with a 10-foot pole. There's a lot of ramifications, a lot of angles, but it's so clear cut when you have so many people coming forward in the Watchtower that have similar stories. I mean, it's a no-brainer. There's a problem in this organization, and we're getting to the bottom of it. Did you know Barbara Anderson by any chance?
I do. Yes, I do.
Yeah, Barbara, she has her own program here on the 6 Screens. And, she first came on Dateline back in 2002. And I was still a witness at the time. And I remember seeing it come across the internet that there was a special about child molestation in the Watchtower organization. It was going to be on channel, it was NBC at the time. So it was on Dateline. And sure enough, Barbara Anderson came on. She got this fellowship for doing that. But she has been in touch with so many people. Her and Bill Bowen is another one with Silent Lambs. And when I first started hearing some of this years ago, I thought it was all being exaggerated. I thought that, wow, my goodness, this is just too much. But it's not. It's just bigger than we think. Yeah. Bigger than we think.
It really is.
So anyways, we got Star on with us. She, you see it right there. She was involved in sex trafficking. And you can believe it. A few years ago, I'd say maybe you didn't believe it, but I believe it. And all the people calling in here tonight believe it. So if you have something to say to Star, have you known of anything that happened in your congregation? Have you experienced anything that is very similar and covered up. Would like to hear it. We do have an attorney coming on here shortly as well. So go ahead and hit *6. We do see we have a whole lot of people on. Let me just check one thing here. Let me get over to
Can
here.
I say one thing that might encourage somebody?
Yeah, go ahead, Tom.
And so, for me, tonight hearing these different stories, and they're totally different and unique, and in the details really makes it so real. And the more that we hear these, the easier it is to believe, because we have been sown with so much doubt. They keep telling us, they come up with these stupid stories that maybe somebody made it up or something, and so it's so easy for people that haven't had this experience, to maybe brush it off. But by hearing so many different stories, is just that little bit of doubt is just going right away. I know better, but I'm saying I think that it helps with a lot of people helping to, and so if anybody that can share their information, people are going to start standing up and taking notice. The more people that you speak out,
We need to.
Well, thank you, Tom. Thank you, Tom, for chiming in here tonight. We appreciate it. Tom, in fact, while I got you on, was there anyone in your congregation that you thought was a little perverted? Did you heard anything that might have happened in your congregation? I know you're up there in New Hampshire.
Oh, definitely. Numerous. I have a very large family that many cousins. Like pretty much, when my grandmother passed, I guess we had over 30 cousins on just the one. My mother's side of the family, who was mostly it was them that were witnesses, and many of them. So yes, I've heard a lot of stories involving some of them that because they were related, I was able to take the talk about it, their personal experiences, but without detail. But the fact that they were not listened to, there was only one witness, and they must be making up these stories. They must have something against that elder or something like that. And these are many of my cousins. I say many because more than 3, and that have experienced this and unjustly treated. And then I've heard the stories of other congregations, and I would have to say I've probably over 20 different people just in the area of the people that I associated with. It happened a lot, and people just very unless it did get they did go to jail or something like that, you wouldn't hear about it. And these people, it was unbelievable. They did wink at it, and the more stories I hear, the more I realized that it was, the society has got to be the one that's encouraging and winking at these people and letting them doing crap to their kids.
Yeah.
So, anyway, yeah.
Yeah, it's pretty bad. And you're just one congregation, right? Think about all the congregations.
No, that was 3 congregations. 4. It was a big family. But I'm just, not 20 of the congregation, don't.
Well, thank you, Tom. I just want to see if Travis from Florida, the attorney, are you on with us, Travis? If you are, hit *6. If Travis is on the line with us, hit *6, Travis. Well, I guess not. We're going to keep asking. He was to come on around 9:30. He was going to come on video. We're going to try to get him on video. And we do have Dan on the line once again. Dan, what would you like to say?
Yeah, we had an elder that was, he was being accused of touching the sisters' butts, brushing up against them. And they basically stood in line to tell the elders, and they didn't do anything. They said, if Jehovah brought him in, Jehovah remove him in Jehovah's due time. Then the guy came off the stage. He told me to go get laid in Houston after an assembly. And he said, you'll do better in Jehovah's organization. Quit telling the elders, you masturbate. And that guy ended up being on the front page of the Nacogdoches News for feeling out a girl. He had a massage and acupuncture, and he touched the girl in the wrong place. And he laughed at me, and I went to the elders too, and they said the same thing. They weren't going to do anything. But he was on the front page of the news. His wife had a nervous breakdown. He lost his business, and he's still an elder. And he told me, laughing, he said, Dan, not every invitation's an invitation, And he thought some girl rolled over to the side, and he touched her breast or did something, and she sued him, and they lost everything. But I just think it's interesting that everybody lined up to tell the elders, including me. I told them the story about going to Chicago, and the guy wanted me to go to a topless place and find the most drugged woman, and you'll get the best dance for your money. And I didn't know what the hell. I was like, man, this guy's way perverted. But that was one of many, Rick. We had another brother. We used to laugh. We'd say, watch the brother. He's going to go look down the girl's top. And everybody knew it. The whole congregation knew it. And we're like, he's not going to do that. And we were new in the congregation. This was in Colorado Springs. And we were like, oh, my God. But it's rampant. Sex addiction is rampant in there, and it's for the reasons I talked about earlier. Yeah. When you can't even touch a girl's hand, when you can't even kiss a girl. My dad almost run me over with a car because I kissed a girl, and then he bragged about the girls he fucked or screwed in Vietnam. You know what I mean? But he almost run me over, yanked me in the car, slid up to me and yanked me in, and and said, "Don't you ever!" And the girl just gave me a little kiss. And so this is where the shit starts. And so until they get that in order, and they quit making people out to be perverts who masturbate and tell them, that they're evil and, pull their eyes out. I've heard people trying to pull their eyes out on this show. You're entertaining. I mean, it's totally nuts, but it's rampant in there. So what Star's talking about is a huge, huge can of worms that's about opening. The sex trafficking is the next big chapter. And I'm just sitting back going, oh my God. But anyway, I'm really sad tonight just hearing about all this. I don't know why I'm emotional, but it's just so much they've gotten away with this whitewashed grave appearance, that they're righteous. They're the only ones that hear Jehovah's voice. I mean, they've gotten away with stuff. They've gotten away with murder over blood. They've gotten away with murder in Malawi. I mean, and they're still getting away with it. I mean, it's amazing, but I don't know. Things are happening pretty fast now. More stuff's coming to the surface. And like I said, thanks to Star and people like her and all of our voices, they make a difference. Anyway, thank you guys.
Thank you.
Wow, we appreciate it. Well, Star, what we'll do, one more call for the lawyer, and then we can let you rest here tonight. Are you on with us, Travis? *6 if you are. Travis, the attorney from Florida. We had him scheduled for tonight. I did get an okay. He was going to be come on, but for some reason he's not on with us. We'll give him a few more minutes. But what would be your closing remarks to the audience here tonight anyways? Star, what would you like to say to the audience?
Speak your truth. It's really important because right now the children that are in the organization need us. They need us, and they need us to speak up. That's it.
Well, good. I mean, that's to the point.
That's what we need to do. We need to tell our stories so we can dismantle everything. And, so this organization can't keep doing this anymore.
All right. It looks like we do have the right. That's a good admonition. We do have, it looks like Travis coming on. Let me bring Travis on here right now with us. Just give us a second. I think Travis can hear us. Let me bring him on right now. I'm going to add him to the stage. Hello, Travis. Can you hear me?
Good evening. Yes, absolutely. I can hear you.
Well, very good, Travis. Well, thank you very much. Well, we've been talking here tonight about human trafficking. We've been talking about the problems the Watchtower organization is actually involved with covering up child molesters.
Yes.
Now, we do have, I believe you do know Star. She's on here. She just went through it and told us her story. Yep.
Yes, yes.
Okay. All right. I think that clicking has stopped. Okay. So, Travis, you were an attorney in Stewart, Florida. I
Yes.
used to live in Florida. I know where Stewart is. You live in a beautiful state, Travis. I'll say that.
Thank you. Yes, it's an honor and privilege to live in the state of Florida. That's for sure.
It really is. And, anyways, Star told her story of human trafficking or sex trafficking in the Watchtower organization. Have you heard this from other Jehovah's Witnesses?
Yeah, unfortunately, in addition to being a lawyer, I'm an Eagle Scout and a Christian. So I have I really, my heart goes out to all of these survivors of Jehovah's Witness and the terrible things that they've been enduring. It's unimaginable, some of the stories that I hear, but we're hearing the same. I'm hearing the same stories over and over again, and the survivors that we have and we're representing are brave. They are the true heroes in this. They're stepping forward against a powerful, well-funded organization, but an evil organization, and we're here to fight them.
Exactly.
Well, I'm so glad that you're wanting to come on and at least let the audience know there is help for people. If they can just contact you and talk with you, you can give them a lot of suggestions. Now, we had three people, actually 3 or 4 people call in tonight that have been molested in the organization. And many of them are just stepping forward for the first time. But Travis, I'm sure you're aware of it, being in the law profession, that in the last few years, really, there's been a lot of changes in the window of being able to report sexual abuse. So you're totally aware of that, I'm sure.
Yeah, 100%. And it's the sad thing is that there's a number of survivors that are coming forward that were abused in the 1970s, the 1960s. We're talking to them now. They've had to endure and live through this torture in their minds and have to relive it over and over again without being able to seek justice. And what I'm a civil lawyer. I don't do criminal work. But I often find is that the trafficking survivors, the sexual abuse survivors, they don't get the justice from the criminal justice system, and so that's why we're pursuing lawsuits against Jehovah's Witness, LDS, and other human trafficking organizations to bring them to justice, because unfortunately the criminal justice system doesn't always do it for them.
Well, how big? I mean, we were talking earlier, with some of the callers calling in, as well as, of course, with our good friend Star. Now, is this the tip of the iceberg? Is this? I'm sure it's not being exaggerated by the media at all, but I mean, is this bigger than we think, Travis?
I think it's much bigger, and I mean, I have to obviously have attorney-client privilege, and I have to be very careful with all that. But people like Star who come forward, they're the tip of the spear. I think they're the tip of the iceberg. You're going to have, once we have these brave individuals who come forward and tell their story, I think you're going to have an effect across the country, across the world, of other survivors who are willing to come forward and say, it was me too. I too was abused. I was molested, and honestly, the trauma itself often causes people not to be able to recall and remember a lot of those things that happened to them way back when. But when things like this start to move forward, all of a sudden they start to think and they have memories again, and that's when that comes forward. And that's going back to your question with regards to what is essentially a statute of limitations issue. Is that anybody who, under the Trafficking Victims Protection Act, if you were trafficked or abused while you were a minor, there's what we call a 10-year statute of limitations from the time you turn 18. However, there is a discovery rule that basically says that you have to connect what happened to you and trafficking, and that's when the actual statute of limitations can run. So it's not, and in general, even for adults who are trafficked, it's a 10-year statute of limitations. But there are ways to get around that.
So I'm just thinking out loud more than anything. It's a hard thing for people to come on and talk about what happened to them when they were youngsters. As I was saying earlier to Star in the audience, I knew a woman once that was just scared to death to even bring it up. And that's kind of like old school. I think what's happening now in the modern world we're living in, Travis, is more and more people are willing to say, hey, look, this happened to me, and get out and talk about it. So when you would prepare a case like this, I mean, I'm sure it's not a slam dunk. In some cases, I'm sure that's even difficult to really get whoever you're charging with these crimes or charging with these charges. They're going to deny, just like the Watchtower. I mean, it's brutal, and they have a whole battery of lawyers, and so you do have an idea of the Watchtower's. Well, I'll call it sneakiness. I mean, they really do behave in a way that's not normal. When people go into court with them, boy, they will lie through their teeth. But you must see this in all court cases. Really, when you think about it, a lot of people will lie. But what would you, in other words, if a person called in and said, Travis, I was abused in the Watchtower organization, I need your help. Where would you, I mean, just to make sure the person is credible and not just seeking some type of damage for no real reason, how would you qualify a person to take a case on?
Well, I think that's a great question because, if anyone who tries to step forward and have a case against an organization like Jehovah's Witness, I mean, we're in for a fight. We're in for a big fight. This is a big evil organization, well funded, and has no interest in rolling over. And if a plaintiff comes forward and they don't have a credible case, if they think they're going to go through this process and think that they're going to be able to get through it and get compensated with a false story, it's not going to happen because Jehovah's Witness, a lot of these organizations, I've been going up against defendants for 18 years now, and these defendants, they're well funded. They put you through the process. They'll depose you. They'll depose your family. They'll depose your friends. They'll depose your relationships. That's why people like Starr and other people who are coming forward and willing to fight this fight. It is a very courageous position that they're going through because it's not going to be easy. They're not going to make it easy on anybody. And we do have to check for credibility and make sure everything's done properly. But the more and more I talk to, and we have a number of clients who are survivors of Jehovah's Witness, and the patterns are very similar. The two witness rule, the confronting the judicial panels, the whole thing from beginning to end, over and over again is the same pattern that we're seeing with Jehovah's Witness. And it's a system built for predators to infiltrate and take advantage of. And we're here to hold them accountable. We're here to bring them justice, but it's not going to be easy.
Very good answer. In fact, at one time here in the Six Screens, it was brought up that there was so much abuse going on in the Watchtower. It's been brought up. Some have said that, my child was abused in the Watchtower. I'm just going to get in my SUV, drive up to Warwick, New York, and knock on the door and have them write me a check. I mean, it's not that easy. It's not that easy.
No.
I do believe we have a caller that would like to come in. 602, you're on with us. Go ahead.
Hey, Rick, this is Gilbert, and I'm glad the lawyer's there, but Starr used the word, and you guys are using the word trafficking. So for somebody who has no experience in this arena of child molestation, when I hear the word trafficking, what I think of is racketeering, mafia, and money. And I remember a friend of mine, well, not a friend, but he was a friend, but back in the day when he was doing illegal stuff, he told me, Gilbert, he goes, the police never show up when we're doing illegal. They bootlegged because they lived in a dry county. He goes, they only show up after we sell all of the beer. I go, why is that? He goes, because that's when we have the money. So my question had to do with this trafficking in Watchtower and these stories. The government doesn't seem to arrest people until the money's there. Is there money being transacted in these with these children in the Jehovah's Witness religion? That's what I think about, because that's, I think, what gets the Fed's attention. I may be wrong on this, but is there a financial trail that could actually eventually lead to people that are the head of these trafficking networks?
I'm not quite sure. So what would the question be, Gilbert? What would the actual question be? Narrow it down. You there with us? So what I gather here is I think what Gilbert is saying, I'm not quite sure, but I think he's saying that, when push comes to shove, money kind of talks and it goes away. I mean, does that happen, Travis? I've had some people on our program before say that, they're bringing suits, but somehow, some way, the lawyers or judges or someone got paid off. I mean, could that happen? Or does it happen?
I mean, it absolutely can happen, and it does happen. I mean, the more that I've been into this world, the more complicity I see. I think law enforcement does a great job, but just like any profession, there's bad actors, and it's also legislatures. I mean, I know that talking with a number of people, other states. I'm in Florida, but I practice across the country when we do the mass tort type of work, including Jehovah's Witness, because we'll file pro hoc vice in different states. So we've got clients in Arizona, New York, and across the state. But there are states where there was a push for legislation, but all of a sudden it died out of nowhere, and no one has any explanation for how it died. What happened to it and everything. Except we all know that these organizations are very well funded. They have some very sophisticated lobbying efforts, and if they want to make something go away, they'll make something go away. So I'm not surprised. I think what the caller was also talking about is something that we're also looking into. And there's an organization, the Gideon Force, that I'm affiliated with, and they do the great investigation work that we're doing. But we're looking at civil RICO cases, and so the racketeering that he was kind of mentioning, that's a vehicle by which we can actually attack organizations, because there is essentially civil racketeering that's going on. It's the same type of thing that Al Capone was put away for on a criminal case. But RICO racketeering is definitely something that we're pursuing and looking into.
Well, thank you for that. In fact, speaking about legislators, in 2003, I live here in Massachusetts, and I went down to Congressman Lynch, his office in Boston, and he spent a lot of time with me, good part of 3 hours, and we talked about child abuse and all kinds of sexual perversion, not only in the Catholic Church but also in the Jehovah's Witnesses. And I brought some information to his attention that people were being molested sexually in the Watchtower, and he was very concerned with it. And he says, Mr. Farron, he says, if you can come up with some summaries of people that have been molested, we will have a congressional hearing on that. So I did get summaries. And he says, you come up with those, we will call you into Washington, and you can testify what's going on in the Jehovah's Witness religion. So I got the summaries, as I say. I let him be aware of it. He said, okay, you just hold on. We'll get this organized. So I really, along with the people who wrote these summaries, we were looking forward to going and testifying before a congressional hearing. And someone put the kibosh to it. It just never took place,
I'm not surprised. No, it's like I said, it's a well-funded, oiled machine. They have the same game plan and game strategy that all these, the Catholic Church, the LDS, Jehovah's Witness, they all play for the same playbook. They have the same PR teams. They have the same. It's the same usual suspects, unfortunately, in a lot of different ways. So those same tactics, yeah, I 100% believe that that they're burying legislation. That there's shenanigans and bad things going on, but that's why we have to fight the good fight, because ultimately we have three options, right? One, we do nothing, and then this evil continues to perpetrate itself, and survivors no longer don't get the justice that that they're entitled to. Option two is that we fight and get paid off or something. Or option three, we fight the good fight. We put it all forward, and we do as much as we possibly can to destroy this evil.
Yep.
Well, that's the answer.
Yeah.
So Star, what do you think of that answer?
I think it's a great answer. Let's do it.
We're totally on board. I mean, we have one life to live, and to be able to do and make a big impact in this world to help curb this evil, to create justice for survivors. I'm all about it. So
yeah. It's about the children right now that are in it. So we need to speak up, because there's kids right now that are being trafficked and that are being hurt inside this organization around the world. And we really need to understand that. Like, the longer we wait to tell our stories, the longer these children are being hurt.
Right. You know, and that's 100% right, and that's why we do these cases on a contingency fee basis. You know, we don't get paid unless we recover for our clients. You know, so we're in for it for the long fight, but we're also obviously seeking compensation for clients for things that happened in the past. But we're trying to create standards and changes for the future, so that the children right now and the children in the future are not subject to the same horrors that these survivors have.
Well, I was thinking too, Travis, with the statute of limitations, as you were speaking about earlier. How about the state of Florida? What would be the statute down there? Is the window still open for many years?
Yeah, well, I mean, because primarily, if you're looking at the Trafficking Victims Protection Act, which it's a very broad statute, it's a federal statute that's recently changed so that it's 10 years for adults, and it's basically there's no statute of limitations if you were trafficked while you're a child. Now, you're supposed to bring the case within 10 years after turning 18, but again, the ability to be able to connect what happened to you as trafficking is that's when the discovery rule comes into play. So that is the statute of limitations isn't a hard and a firm rule when it comes to that. There's a statute to repose, and that's different. But it's because it's a federal statute, it applies in Florida just as it applies in Alaska.
Excellent. Well, that's good. In fact, it made our heart glad. The number of states in the last 5 years really have really got rid of that limitations, and it's opened up the whole new ball game for many witnesses as well as all people that have been abused. You don't mind if we take some telephone calls, do you, Travis?
No, absolutely not. I'm here to give. I'm here to contribute. That's I heard the voice of the Lord say, "Whom shall I send, and who will go for us?" And I said, "Here am I, send me." So, put the calls through. I'm happy to contribute.
Well, thank you. Well, hold on. Who's this here? Let's go with. We had a caller before you. Let's go to 978, and then we'll go to 828. 978. Go ahead. You're on with us.
Hi, Rick. Travis, I was wondering if I decided, let's say, I wanted to bring a case against the Watchtower, what are some of the, I'm going to use the term, dirty tricks that I can expect them to pull once I start my case?
That's a great question, and it's definitely something we try to we send out letters of expectations to our clients to let them know kind of what to expect. Dirty tricks, absolutely. I mean, even from a pure legal perspective, the things that they could do. Obviously, we seek protective orders for our clients for the things that they try to do. But I mentioned earlier, your family, your friends, your past relationships, they're gonna dig into you as far as they possibly can. They're going to ask you questions. They're going to put interrogatories, other discovery, requests for productions, requests for admissions through discovery, and then later they're going to depose you, and then they're going to depose your family. They're going to depose your friends. They're going to depose your past boyfriends and girlfriends. Your ex-husbands and wives. And they're going to try and find every single little dirt that they can because they don't want justice. They don't want to see victims compensated. They want to see this whole thing buried, and they want to embarrass you. They want to cause you to give up and fold. They want it to make it so hard for you that all you want to do is say, "I can't believe that I'm having to go through this, and it's not worth it."
Wow. Well, thank you for that.
Yeah, I mean it's a sad thing. I mean, and that's we file motions for protective orders all the time for our clients because the legal system is not meant to abuse and intimidate people, but those are the dirty tricks that you can expect.
Nice.
561. Thank you, Susan. 561. You're on with us. Go ahead. 561.
Hi, Rick. This is Carol Stanhope.
Hi, Carol. What would you like to say to Tara?
Hi. I just wanted to send my love and support to Star. I'm an ex-Jehovah's Witness of 35 years and a human trafficking survivor here in West Palm Beach. I've been speaking out against human trafficking for 20 years now on a United Nations level. I have produced a documentary and I've written a book, and I'm currently in the process of writing my second manuscript. And I'm a big fan of your show.
Well, thank you.
And I was trafficked through the A Street congregation here in Lake Worth back in the 1970s. And that congregation and some of the sisters facilitated taking me to the island of Palm Beach and filming me in child pornography for 2 years until I escaped in 1978. So I am speaking with a couple of law firms. White and Luxembourg contacted me the other evening, and they're taking a look at it. But I'm just kind of looking at my options and, talking to, different lawyers.
Yeah, no, it's definitely wise, and make sure that it's a good fit for you and whatever your case is. It's going to be a big effort. I mean, a lot of the same law firms that are involved in some other torts are going to be involved in this, and we're going to have to. We're hoping to share discovery. We're hoping to share strategies, because again, like I said, it's a well-funded, well-oiled machine that we're up against, and we got to fight the good fight.
Yeah, exactly. I do know that. I was in the organization for 35 years, and I know how duplicitous and Machiavellian they are. So, yeah, I've been in the Palm Beach congregation here since I was a little kid, so I know their tactics.
Yeah, and thank you for your bravery, and thank you for creating that documentary and everything that you do. I mean, anybody, Star, yourself, this show, it's all, just such a benefit to everyone else who's out there who've had to experience this.
Well, thank you for your work, and God bless you, Star.
God bless you.
Well, Donnie from the United Kingdom, I think from England. Is that you, Donnie? You want to come on? Go ahead, Donnie.
Yes. Thank you, Rick. Thank you for letting me speak again. Yeah, can I just ask Travis, like when I've researched online the CSA court cases against the Watchtower Society, I found that they get away with it a lot because the CSA did not take place on Watchtower property. So isn't it better to go after the Jehovah's Witness that did the assaulting?
No, yeah, absolutely. Great question. I mean, ultimately, we're always looking for three things when it comes to cases. We're looking for liability, coverage, and damages. Liability, was Jehovah's Witness liable? Did they assist in the cover up? Were they notified of this, and then did they cover it up? Did they allow this type of thing to happen, or was it done within the scope of that employment? Coverage, the ability to pay. Clearly, Jehovah's Witness has the ability to pay. And damages, well, essentially, I don't know if there's anything more horrific than to be sexually trafficked and sexually abused, particularly as a child. So it's always the liability question is the big hurdle that we often have to overcome. So even if it doesn't happen, whether it happens in the congregation or in the temple, or if it happens in a home, which is we have a number of clients who were in a Bible study or some other thing, and where it was ultimately abused, raped, in those types of situations, we're still going after them because it was the Jehovah's Witness knew about it. They had to cover up. It's the same game plan we have with the Catholic Church and the LDS.
Yeah, I mean, it sounds like a lot of work that's going to go on for years just to help one client, because there must be appeal after appeal after appeal.
Right. I mean, I think we're going to see a push sometime in the future for what we call a multi-district litigation, which allows for centralization of the cases. It's done a lot in pharmaceutical cases. It's done a lot in medical device cases. But there was an attempt to centralize the LDS cases a few months ago, actually in April, and it did not go forward. So it's difficult. The challenge is that there's so many different the actual scenarios for each of these survivors. It's not like they took a drug and they were damaged. Each one was is all from sexual abuse and rape while children, some as adults, sometimes by an elder, sometimes all the factual situations are going to be different. So that's why these cases need to be brought individually. But we're willing to take that chance. We're willing to do that work because we believe in these cases.
Okay, that's brilliant. It's really brilliant. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you.
820. 820 is the 820, I believe. Yeah, 828 or something. Go ahead. You're on with us. Okay, let's go to 540. 540. You're on with us. 720. You're on with us. Go ahead.
Hey, Rick. I just wanted to ask Travis, as far as repressed memories are concerned, a lot of times when you're abused when you're little, then it comes out later. You start having nightmares and all of a sudden you just remember what happened and more it starts to just come out. And, the witnesses have called that repressed memories, and then trying to say that just because you suddenly now remember it, that it's repressed, which means to them it's not true. And that they kind of had a stance on that it's not true because it's repressed. Well, repressed means, traumatized and locked down until you could feel safe enough to bring it back up. I think God made our bodies like that so that we could function and survive in this world. But do you see a lot of that not believing people because they didn't bring it out and because the memories were buried for a while until they could feel safe to talk about it and God allowed it to come forward,
No, I mean, I know, having gone through this with a number of survivors, that repressed memories, that this trauma, has all kinds of effects on the mental health of a lot of our clients. And so I believe, a lot of our clients, I don't have a problem believing them. If the question is that a tactic the defendants will use? Of course they're going to use it. They're going to they're going to try and say it's all made up, it's make believe, this was some figment of your imagination. But, candidly, like I said, the same patterns that we're seeing, in Jehovah's Witness, candidly, we're seeing in satanic ritual cases too. They mirror each other in a lot of different ways, and it's just an evil that we have to go against. But yeah, I think that you're absolutely right. God did create our brains in a way so that we can survive and thrive even when terrible trauma has occurred to us. And I think this radio show, Star, and other people who are coming forward, it's going to help to start the brain to feel like, hey, I can come forward and say something, and bring forward those memories now that I'm in a safer place. So yes, the defendants are going to say that, of course they are, but no, I think the science completely backs up repressed memories as a symptom of trauma.
Amen. I'm so glad. I mean, I just think that it's unfortunate that we have to bring things out so many years later, but I don't think they should be forever stuck in our hearts and minds and just forgotten about either, because I think that damages us. So if anything, even if you get cut down and told you're a liar and you made this stuff up and dredge up your past for, ruin your credibility and all that, I somehow feel like that it still is a stain on the person who did the thing, and it's worth it. If we could just make up our mind that this is just the way it's going to be, they're going to treat us like that, then we just decide that we're going to go through it anyway and bring it out. It's only for our own soul's sake that we put it out there into the light and brought a little bit of shame on that, the doing of that kind of thing. And that person would be, they would experience shame, but I say it should be that way. And so even if we don't win the case, I think that we still did the damage, and that's if everybody does it, it's going to make some changes, I hope.
No, absolutely. No, I agree with you wholeheartedly. I mean, I think about, Paul having to go to Rome. God called Paul to go to Rome to preach the gospel, and Paul knew what his fate was going to be in Rome. But by going through the process, he helped spread the gospel. He helped spread, the good news, and that's what we're doing here. I mean, the act itself, I think, is bringing light upon this darkness. And ultimately, I mean, obviously, I hate losing. I don't like losing at all, and I don't plan on losing. But I'm also not going to walk into this and say that a loss is a complete loss. No, bringing light into the darkness, that's a reward right there.
Darkness into the light.
Yeah. Hey, Travis, how many cases are being won that you know of? I mean, not only your jurisdiction, but other ones. How many cases? I mean, are they paying out thousands of fees right now? Thousands of cases? Is it hundreds? I mean, I've heard there's a lot of silent payouts from Watchtower. Have you seen that?
Yeah, most settlements are going to be confidential. There's a reason for that. Obviously they don't want numbers to be thrown around, but that's also the reason why they don't want these cases to go to distance. A lot of the trafficking cases, aren't going to jury trials and verdicts because the last thing any of these organizations want is to have a huge number held over their head. I'm a big friend and follower of Mark Lanier. He's a Christian lawyer out of Texas. He hung a $6 billion verdict on Johnson and Johnson for talc. And now all the talc cases, the value of all the talc cases went up because they got a huge verdict against Johnson and Johnson for the asbestos in the talc. So what you're seeing is that Jehovah's Witness, LDS, the Catholic Church, they don't want to have a big number hung on them because the value of these cases are going to go up substantially if a big trial verdict is done. So yeah, what you're seeing, if you're hearing about any money exchanging, it's going to be in confidential settlement agreements, and that's good and bad. So we it comes with the legal territory in the United States.
Tracy, how does cybercrime forensics, digital forensics play into your strategy?
Great question. Actually, so I'm affiliated with an anti-trafficking organization. I'm sorry, you're breaking up. Actually, so I'm affiliated with
hold on one second. Caller, hold on one second.
Okay.
Is this 881? Is this 817 calling in from Texas? Okay. All right. Let's go back to 828. You're on with us. 828. Go ahead.
Yes, I'm one of the nation's first cybercrime instructors in the history of the country. And I'm a third generation Jehovah's Witness. And I still claim I worship Jehovah, but I'm working hard to destroy the network of pedophilia, not just, I've been, I work with the FBI team that took on the Vatican I, the Russian Mafia, so forth and so on. And I reported in 1977, and I hear cases before then, talking on here, the first case documented involving child molestation of two elders' children, and I had like 4 witnesses, and they still covered it up. So that set me on a quest, and so my experience is true pedophilia is networked. They're going to be networked. You're going to find it. And that's why when you file a report to the police, you file it, and you have to have them do the digital forensics. They have to seize the laptop. They have to do DNA. And the longer it waits, the more late it comes. So quick action has to happen. Now, here's my problem with the witnesses. They are misapplying the 2-witness rule. The 2-witness rule in the first century did not apply to things they had to turn over to the Roman Empire, because even Paul said, "Is it for nothing that Caesar has the sword?" Therefore, this 2-witness rule, you're rarely going to get 2 witnesses with somebody raping a little child. So you have to have collaborating evidence. The 2-witness rule does not apply in this case. It's not biblical. Your thoughts?
100%. And the application of the 2-witness rule, I think, is one of the travesties of this entire organization. That to say, you have one adult preying on one child, and because you don't have 2 witnesses, you can't bring forward the accusations. That's BS. It's just wrong. And it's part of the systemic issue that allows Jehovah's Witness to get away with this abuse. It's part of the reason why we're going after them, because they've basically set up a system for predators to prey on children and for predators to get away from it. And, just like the Boy Scouts had predators that infiltrated their organization because they knew that they could take advantage of certain rules and systems, this is what's happening in Jehovah's Witness. And they know about it. They're covering it up. They're not changing the 2-witness rule, and they allow it to continue.
Right. It's it's incredible in the respect that I wrote a letter just prior to the new light on disfellowship, and I was the sponsor of that because I was disfellowship illegally because I brought up some things about these shops that were being mandated by the organization as dangerous. They disfellowshipped me for that. They set me up, disfellowshipped me on Zoom, and I wasn't even allowed to attend. I even appealed it. And the appeal meeting was a sham. And then I tried to get reinstated 3 times with kind letters and finally came to the conclusion of what was going on. And now I'm working on the inside. My next project to get the organization to recognize they're going to have to do something different. Number one, they're going to have to stop calling the elders. If somebody's sexually molested, do not call an elder. Call 911. I don't care if they do it. Keep in mind that there are people in law enforcement, in government, religions, corporations. The biggest, greatest travesty on this planet is child rape and molestation. It's going on so strong, and it's so. Therefore, you cannot call an elder without getting it covered up. You can't do it. So you dial 911. Demand that the laptops be seized, get DNA, because you can get corroborating evidence even though there was one witness, and you can convict. Now, you got to get out of the civil mindset and start thinking criminally. Criminally. I don't care. If I could get $1 trillion from an organization today, I wouldn't take it. I don't want the widow's pity. I do not want it. I want them to demand that they're not going to listen to complaints of child molestation and abuse until they call the police. And then after the police investigate, guilt or innocence is confirmed, then if you want to call an elder, be forward. Thank you, sir. I'm going to exit. God bless you, and I wish you well.
God bless you.
817 Texas. 817 Texas. You want to come on? Go ahead. You're on with us.
Hi, Rick. This is Stephanie. How are you?
Good, Stephanie. Thank you. Yes.
Yeah, nice to hear you. Star, nice to see you. Thank you for being on. Travis, we really appreciate you coming on and talking to the community about this. And also, I thank you for representing me in my upcoming case. So we do have some questions that are coming up in the comments that I was hoping you might be able to address tonight. None of us here are legal minds like you. We've been trying to explain this amazing call for healing that you have offered your services to help the community to heal and to grow from this and to make changes for the future. Referring back to Nod very quickly, the issue of clergy penitent privilege was just passed in the state of Washington. But now the Department of Justice has picked that up and is reviewing it on a federal level for constitutionality, which, you know, is actually a good thing because now we have the issue of clergy penitent privilege, the secrecy that you're explaining to us that is allowing this trafficking to continue. We have it going to a federal level at the same time that we're coming together collectively, raising our voices. So I do think we're standing in a very powerful moment. Or a God moment, we might even want to call it. But people are asking about the technicalities of what this mass tort or class action. Is there one person that would be in the front of it, like a predominant person on the case, or is each case still dealt with on each of their own merit? There is some questioning there. I was hoping you might be able to help clarify, please.
Yeah, absolutely. No, I think that's a great question and a great opportunity to clarify. So the way I look at it, there's basically 3 different types of cases is what you're looking at. There's what we call class action cases, there's mass tort MDL cases, and there's individual cases. Class action cases are kind of like your Bank of America, your bank, you know, Wells Fargo does a fraud on, you know, check cards and everybody gets a $25 check. That's not what we're doing. The mass tort cases, you know, there's advantages and disadvantages to doing those. Some of the advantages is that there's centralization of discovery. There's one judge that oversees all these cases, so they understand the content and everything. The bad thing is that sometimes it gets lost in translation. The third option is to bring individual cases, which is essentially what we're doing, because ultimately we would like to get to an MDL, which is not a class action. It's very different, because if you think of the bank case, the bank, almost everybody who had the same check card issue has the same damages. But in a mass tort like Jehovah's Witness, one person may have been raped, unfortunately, several times as a child, and another person may have been, labor trafficked. One of the things that I don't think that, obviously sexual abuse is rampant in Jehovah's Witness, and we have a lot of survivors coming forward on that issue, but we're also seeing labor trafficking issues, and Jehovah's Witness using and abusing children for labor. And basically labor trafficking is occurring in that aspect too. So those type of damages are going to be different, and that's why it's not a class action. You're not going to have somebody at the forefront. Everybody's damage is going to be different. It's just like the Boy Scout cases. The Boy Scouts, again, you had some people who were sodomized and raped, unfortunately, and some people who were molested in different ways. So everybody's damages are different, and I think everybody's damages in Jehovah's Witness are going to be different as well.
Very good answer to the question.
Thank you.
I think I might have even misunderstood some of this myself, and I'm working directly with you. So thank you. So am I also to understand that you want to hear from labor trafficking victims of Watchtower?
Yeah, I mean, so say for instance, and again, I can't go into very specifics because I can't give away my client's attorney-client privilege and confidentiality, but children who were forced to work in restaurants or in farms or in other places, even forced to clean the temples or whatever. There's I'm happy to talk with people who of course unfortunately are dealing with sexual abuse, but if they were also forced into labor, basically child labor, happy to chat with them about that too.
Okay, good. Thank you for clarifying that. And each individual case will be heard on its own merit is also what I'm hearing. So I think I may have mistranslated some of the communication to the community. So I want to apologize for that now. And also very, very, very much thank you for being here to clarify these subjects for us. So thank you.
Well, thank you. And thank you for your courage in coming forward, because it's not easy. And I appreciate you.
Thank you, Travis. Appreciate you.
Thank you, Stephanie. In fact, when you brought up labor issues, Travis, that got my attention. I've talked about this before. And, many young witnesses are forced to go out in service and to peddle the magazines. They're like little salespeople. And that's an issue that's been brought up here before, but I never really looked at it as a labor trafficking. That's interesting. And even to go and clean the kingdom halls could even be concerned that, I guess. So if anyone's listening in tonight and feels that their children are being abused or have been abused, well, Travis might be the man to talk to. We've got 540 Virginia. Come on, say hello to Travis. 540. All right. Well, we just had them on. So anyways, I want to bring this up to you too as well, Travis. In New York right now, there is a suit against the Watchtower, and named as the defendants are the governing body members. Now, there is some issues. I see we did lose Travis there, so we'll see if he can come back. Are you still with us, Travis? Okay, good. So anyways, the governing body is being, in the court paperwork, the governing body is being listed. Each individual member, there's 11 members, they're each being included in as a defendant. Now, this has happened before in San Diego, and some of the governing body members never showed up, and they were fined for doing that. Now, if this happens in New York, I mean, the Watchtower has a big billfold, let's go with that, so they can pay it. But at what point, I mean, can the court force the governing body to show up?
Well, absolutely. I mean, it's a great question. So, from a civil perspective, it once we file the lawsuit, we serve the lawsuit on the defendants, the Jehovah's Witness organization, the individuals involved. If they don't respond within a certain period of time, they're defaulted, and if they're defaulted, we can get a default final judgment against them. So, from a civil perspective, that's the difference between a demand letter and a lawsuit. You can send a demand letter, but there's no requirement that they respond. But if you send a lawsuit and you serve them with it, they're required to respond, or you're going to basically get everything that you asked for in your lawsuit without them having a defense because they never responded. So, I don't know what happened in that case. It sounds as though the court sanctioned the defendants for failing to show up, which maybe they were being subpoenaed to court, maybe they're subpoenaed to a deposition, and they refused to show up. And then in that case, the court can sanction them, including fining them. But if the governing body, if the Jehovah's Witness gets served with a lawsuit, they fail to respond to the lawsuit, we get whatever we have in our complaint, our lawsuit, by a default final judgment.
Okay, so of course, different cases have different ways of doing it. In San Diego was one governing body member, I believe it was Garrett Loesch, and he was, I guess the term would be summoned to come into court, and he didn't come. So he was fined, the Watchtower was fined $400 a day. And this went on for like 3 years. I mean, have you heard of this before?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, and the rules are different from state to state. And I don't know if this is a criminal case or a state case, but obviously $400 a day for Jehovah's Witness. I mean, that's probably what they take in 10 seconds. I mean, so there's no that kind of penalty, unfortunately, isn't going to have it. What I do want to kind of bring to your audience's attention too is the criminal justice system, like I was saying before, unfortunately doesn't always bring justice for survivors. Whether law enforcement doesn't understand completely the depth of the organization, whether there's complicity. But I like to use the comparison of the O.J. Simpson case. Everybody remembers the O.J. Simpson case. O.J. Simpson went to a criminal trial, and beyond a reasonable doubt, he was found to be not guilty in a criminal level. Now, later, the families brought a civil lawsuit against O.J. Simpson, and he was found responsible civilly because the standard is lower in a civil case than it is for a criminal case. So even though, and that's another reason why using the civil justice system to go after Jehovah's Witnesses is going to be is helpful, because the standards are lower than they are in criminal cases. The discovery rules are much different. You don't have the same Fifth Amendments. You don't have the same speedy trial rules. There's a lot of things that are in criminal cases, and it sounds as though what happened maybe in that case was involved a criminal case. Maybe it wasn't. I don't know. It's in California, but I just wanted to bring that to your audience's attention as well.
Well, thank you for doing that. Now I'm learning here. I'm learning. Law has always fascinated me. There's so many angles, Travis. I give you credit, and I like your Christian position too. I like that. If I was out seeking a lawyer, I would definitely get a Christian. Go ahead. We have a caller coming in. Go ahead. I think it's a woman. Go ahead.
Hi. Yeah, Travis and hi, Star. I had a question. Can you talk a little bit about your experience specifically with CSA cases and how many like this one you have won?
Yeah, I mean, the question is, it's CSA cases, and we have, well, we do motel hotel cases where unfortunately children are trafficked for drugs by their parents in motels. We've got cases involving satanic ritual abuse. We've got clients who were trafficked on Epstein Island. We've got clients who were trafficked in LDS. We've got clients who are trafficked in Jehovah's Witness. We've got a sexual abuse across the state. We don't have any verdicts or wins. What you're seeing, again, and we were talking about this before, is oftentimes, these cases are settled. They're settled confidentially, and that's part of the process. And my job as a lawyer is to fight for you, to advocate for you, to tell you what my crystal ball says. But in the end, it's your case, and I have a duty to present my clients with settlement offers, and they have the right to take those settlement offers. I don't have the right to tell them what to do at that point. So the question with regards to whether it's a win or not, I think we're winning right now by bringing these cases to fruit and to bringing the light to the darkness. So, I mean, a win is a win, but I think we're winning right now.
Okay, and I just have a question about your ties to. How does this tie into the international redress and the WOW website or organization? Are there ties there, or that was just another little bit?
It's my website, and I'm just holding the paperwork. That's what it is. So people can go on the website and print it out.
And so there was Stephanie mentioned that there was a database that people's information was going to get loaded into and sorted and such. Who owns the database, and, where does that information, how is it being sorted, why, and can you explain a little bit about that?
I can explain that there's investigators that are looking into what we're putting into giving them. And that's all. I mean, you can trust it or you cannot. It's up to you. That's what's going on.
Who owns the database exactly?
I mean, I don't even know how to go about telling you what it is. It's just a way we can connect with the investigators, and that's it. They're putting the stories together, so it is like, able to comprehend all of it.
And the redress, that's only for the redress, right? Your website, and that's not tied to Travis in any type of way. Not legal documents.
No, there's two different entities. Actually, there's multiple entities. We work very closely with an investigative organization. Great people. I'm also affiliated with an accelerator group, which includes hero churches. It includes law enforcement and includes a number of anti-trafficking organizations involved in it, and that we're working with an investigation there. But no, there's multiple entities going on. I know that our clients have confidentiality and attorney-client privilege with us. That doesn't likely extend to any other organizations. I know that but I have been approached by a number of organizations who are, they're trying to organize, and they're trying to combat this evil in however they can. I don't have access to that database. I don't know about that database. I can't opine on those databases, but I do know I give people credit for. I mean, a lot of people are volunteering to try and organize these things and putting in hard, labor, time, and effort to do the good work, and it's not easy. And so I don't know ultimately what's going to come of it, but no, I mean, when a client signs up with us, I can't even tell you whether or not they're a client or not. I mean, if they come out and say that they're a client of mine, that's up to them. But I can't even tell you whether or not somebody's a client of mine or not. So that's how far our confidentiality goes.
Okay.
I'd be happy to chime in here, Rick.
Go ahead, Stephanie. Yep.
Yeah, so the question on the redress, and Travis isn't familiar with this because this is the advocacy side of what Star and I do. He's representing us legally. So the redress forms are on Star's website, along with an attorney intake form that we created with the help of the investigators to get quicker access straight to Travis. You're welcome to just call or directly contact him separately. But we just made the form to make it easy. But the redress forms are something Star and I are doing together with the same investigators that are working with Travis. We're working also with them to try to formulate these cases much bigger. Travis had explained it earlier how you're going to, you hope to almost bring like cases forward in like community chunks is kind of how I had heard. So the database or the investigative tool that we're using with the investigators, it forms those connections. For instance, Shannon, who's a good friend of mine, she's also on the WOW website advocating with us. Her and I didn't even ever know each other as Jehovah's Witness children, and it wasn't until we met later in the advocacy world did we realize that our stories intertwined and my story helped tells her story, and her story helps tells my story. So the more of these connections that we can make with the investigators is going to help Travis to do his job better, to represent you civilly.
You're, so do you know who owns the website and how it's secured?
It's the investigative team that Travis had mentioned earlier that's running that. Star and I are just working as liaisons with them to provide them the information. That's why the addresses are ours. The other thing that we hope to use those forms for, one, is to help create these connections for the attorney. But the other thing is Star and I have been advocating for nearly a decade now to change laws and to also bring to fruition investigations, whether that be statewide investigations, federal investigations, and hopefully eventually internationally with the Human Rights Council. So the more of our stories we bring together for that in a redress form, we have a much more powerful force behind us. Maybe you're familiar with, just this last week, Jehovah's Witnesses, the organization, put out for their entire community of Jehovah's Witnesses in Canada, they're asking all the members to fill out a survey, a real Jehovah's Witness survey.
Yeah.
My feeling is they're doing that for the same purpose we're doing. Our redress is we're trying to collect voices to say they are dangerous. And Jehovah's Witnesses as an organization are collecting voices to say we are not dangerous. As maybe character witness statements would be a good way to describe it. So we know, and Travis can foresee the future because we see what's going on in other countries. This is about to pop wide open in the United States. The writing's been on the wall for years now. So the redress is to help us to be prepared for when this does happen, that we don't have to, we will already be prepared to tell investigators and judges and juries that, you know, this organization as a whole is very, very dangerous. Their child protection policies are failing not only their own children, they're failing society as a whole. Because when these secrets are kept, then a demoralization of society occurs, which causes decay and rot and a destruction of the world that we live in.
Okay, so all those submissions, they get transferred to the investigators somehow, and
Yes.
they get held with the investigators?
Yes, ma'am. Scanned and put in, and they're the same investigators that are working with Travis. Scanned and put in, and then, you know, the system looks for keywords so they can start to figure out, oh, this same perpetrator is named in this case, and, you know, oh, and look at a whole nother state, his name's mentioned way over here. And then they can start forming those connections.
And this is whether or not that person already has a case going somewhere with another lawyer, or?
Yes, this is just a way for us
matter.
to advocate collectively as a group for legal change and to force. We, the people, have the power, and it doesn't happen until we, the people, come together and demand of our government to initiate change in the way that we have allowed the religious institutions to hold the secrets.
So, so are you the advocate that's going to bring them to the
Yes, ma'am.
or whoever needs
Yes,
to?
ma'am.
Oh, okay.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Yes, and I've been working in the secular field for quite some time, and I've formed some amazing connections, and I hope that those connections will bear fruit for all of us as a community.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, definitely.
Well, very, very good, Steffi. Well, we're going to, in fact, we're going to be wrapping this up here shortly, sister. But Stephanie, thank you for coming on and giving us a rundown on exactly what's going on. Oh, you're very welcome, sister. So anyways, we're going to cut Travis loose here. The poor man's been on for an hour. He didn't probably expect that. And of course, we had Star. She's been on for 3 hours with us, or going on that. So anyways, what we're going to do, Travis, how can people get a hold of you? I mean, if they say, wow, there's a fine young man there. He's working hard, exposing the Watchtower. How can they get a hold of you, Travis?
Well, I appreciate that. They can visit our website is traviswalkerlaw.com. You can give us a call, 772-708-0952 is the main line. We are located in Stuart, Florida. We have a big presence in the human trafficking world, fighting human trafficking. But yeah, traviswalkerlaw.com. Look, get some more information. We got a lot of resources there too. Get connected with us. You can email our intake team, intake@traviswalkerlaw.com. It's easy enough. intake@traviswalkerlaw.com. No hyphens, no dots, no nothing like that. Reach out to us. It's a free consultation. It's a contingency fee case. You don't pay anything for us to take your case. It's just like an accident case, like a personal injury case. I'd love to chat with you. The harvest is plentiful, but the workers are few. I think there's big thanks to Stephanie and Star. They're really doing a huge lift for this entire community. What they're doing, my heart goes out to them and everything that they're, the efforts that they put into it. It can be a thankless job at times, I know, but the organizing process of this is huge. And so I thank you for the opportunity to be on here. I honor the survivors that come forward and the courage that they have. I tell all my clients when I get them on the phone, I'm so sorry that this happened to you. And I give you a lot of credit for coming forward because this is not an easy thing to have to talk about. It's not an easy thing to have to relive. And, I think that, we have one life to live. And as a Christian, I have eternity in heaven. And what we do here on earth, it echoes in eternity. And so I really think that this is a huge opportunity for all of us to do the Lord's work, to step forward. And if you're interested, give us a call. Visit us at traviswalkerlaw.com. Love to help you out.
Well, thank you, Travis. My goodness gracious. Well,
scripture? Can I read a scripture before?
Sure. I'd love to have you read a scripture. Go ahead, Star. Yep.
Ephesians 6:10 through 10 through 12. Finally, my brethren, be strong in the Lord, in the power of his might. Put the whole armor of God, that ye may be able to stand against the wiles of the devil. For we wrestle not against flesh and blood, but against principalities, against powers, against the rulers of the darkness of the world, against spiritual wickedness in high places. That's what we're doing.
Well, exactly. That's what you're doing. I like the Christian flavor. And, I'm a Christian man myself. And, it's sad to say that so many people leave the Watchtower. They've been so spiritually abused that they can't connect. They just leave God behind. So if anyone's listening in, we do have a Sunday program tomorrow where we do get into theology. And we usually don't get too deep into it on Saturday. But tomorrow, if you're interested in theology and the false prophecies of the Watchtower, join us tomorrow beginning at 1:00 right here on the 6 screens, Telenetwork. Well, Star, thank you. Thank you very much. You're a brave woman. And thank you, Travis. And don't you guys ever change. We love both of you. Keep waving that flag of victory. And don't you ever let your visions die. Thank you for coming on with us. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Rick. Thank you for everything you do. Thank you.
Appreciate it. Yeah. Well, there you go. And well, anyways, that was quite the program, wasn't it? To have Star on with us and to have Travis. Well, anyways, we're so glad that they were able to do that. Really, it makes a difference. And we had a good audience tonight. A lot of people listening in, and a little break from our regular JW World News. But as I just mentioned, we do have a Sunday program. We have a Sunday. Well, all of a sudden we got the Bethelites coming in now. I mean, I can't understand that. I thought they would have been in all over us tonight. They're coming in a little late. But anyways, folks, well, I think we'll end the program here. But join us tomorrow. We really appreciate your presence tonight. We had a lot of people, as I say, listening in. This will be put up on YouTube in case you missed it. So I want you all to keep standing tall. Don't you ever give in, up, or out. And the last one, leaving the Watchtower, please turn off the new light. We'll see you tomorrow, 1 o'clock, right here on the 6 Screens Telenetwork.